Hello everyone, this is Jamerica with Jamerica Life, and guess what I have? I have some cherry tomatoes, yay! So I plant all of my little seedlings in a little pot because it's easier for me to take care of and to water. I don't have to water a bunch of different pots because had I did it in here or done it in here, I would have had to water this entire tray and it would have taken up a bunch of space on my small grow station. So I do it like this. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're going to separate these out and put them in their individual pods. Now this tray I got from the supermarket. This is the tray that holds these cups. And I get them for free. So if you wanna save a little bit of money on seedling trays, go ahead and do this. So let's go ahead and up pot our cherry tomatoes from this little small container into a pod tray. So it's a beautiful day out here in the Texas area. I'm in zone 9A. Our grow zone started or was able to plant at the end of February, so they say. We did not have, they were right, it did not freeze, but you know, I was a little skeptical, so I planted a little late. Some of the tomatoes are already out here, but here are the rest of them. Now these tomatoes are indeterminate. And by indeterminate, I mean they grow flowers and tomatoes until they pass away. They grow them no matter what. Now, if the sun comes out, the reason why I plant indeterminate tomatoes is because the Texas sun is so fierce that all of the flowers normally fall off of the tomatoes during the hottest months like July and August. But by the time the end of August comes, the flowers come back on indeterminate and they start producing tomatoes again. Up until last year, I got tomatoes up until I think December, the end of December. It didn't stop until we got a freeze. That's what I'm saying. So here because of that, I get two harvests. I get early spring and then summer when it gets extremely hot. The plant, I try to keep the plant alive and I keep watering it to make sure it stays alive. And then when it cools off, the flowers come back and I'm back. I'm back in action. My plants start producing again, but only for indeterminate. Determinate tomatoes, they put out their flowers one time and they produce one time. And usually it's a huge harvest. However, with determinate tomatoes in Texas, if it gets extremely hot and all of my flowers fall off, I'm not gonna get any tomatoes and they're not going to go into bloom again. At least not that season, because the tomatoes, if you keep them warm, they'll last for years. Tomato plants, they say that they're annuals, but they're not. They're perennials. What kills them or what makes them pass away is the freeze. Can't let them get cold. Put them in, some people bring them in their house. They have tomatoes in the house with grow lights. You can grow tomatoes in your house. You don't need a greenhouse. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna slowly pull these apart and get them off one by one, and we're gonna place them in their individual homes so that they get a little bit stronger before I put them in the ground. Okay, so I have my tomato right here, right? And all I do is I put a little hole there. I take my little seedling, or I'm gonna move it aside. I'm gonna move it aside, make sure I get all of the roots covered, and just backfill it. Just sway it right back in there. Take it right back into there, right? Then I go in and I jiggle until I get my next one, right? Real gentle. I move this aside. I go ahead and do this and I move the dirt back around it. I'm gonna water this after I get them all in. They're not gonna be in here long. It doesn't take me long to plant. So we're gonna take off another one. Aren't these pretty? I think they are. I think they are, and I smell tomatoes. I'm gonna move the soil aside. Make sure I cover up all of my root, and then I just sway it back over there. You hear the birds singing. This is a beautiful place. I normally plant inside, But I decided to come outside because it's not hot. It's about 70, 72 degrees out here. Perfect, perfect. And there's a slight overcast, so I don't have the sun beaming on me. So I'm taking my little pod. I don't have the sun beaming on me. My dog is out here laying behind me. She likes it out here. No matter what. She's always out here. Even in the heat, this dog comes out. She'll go and find a shade spot, though. She will find shade, but she'll be there. So I'm going to get the next one. Let's move this. Let's see. I'm pulling those apart. Make sure they don't get tangled up. There's 3 of them here. So look at this. Gently, gently pull it apart. And this soil that the seedlings is in, or the soil that the seedling is in, is moist, wet, not sopping wet, but wet enough for the roots to come apart. See that? There we go. And you're gonna lose some root. Don't be too alarmed. As long as you have root on your seedling, you're good to go. I'm gonna backfill this. Let me stand this one up. Backfill this, cover it back up, stand it up. These are gonna go back onto the grow station now. They're not gonna go, I'm not gonna place them outside. I'm putting them in the house and back into the environment that they're used to, because that's where they came from, my grow station. I just came out here because it's pretty out here and I like listening to the birds. All birds. I like listening to them sing. All right, so we're gonna get some more off. Here's another 3 over here. So slowly take them off, right? I don't just rip them apart. I'm not saying I'm the gentlest person, but I try to get as much root as possible. This is food I'm dealing with. This is stuff that I would have had to buy in the supermarket. Last year I had a couple of tablesfuls. I had a couple of tablesfuls full of tomatoes. Full, more than once. I still got tomatoes in the freezer. Here's another one, this little baby one that I almost, I almost missed. I'll put them back in here and I'm gonna backfill it. Now there's some people who say sift your soil. I don't do that, and I'm gonna tell you why. Why would I sift the soil for a seedling tray from soil that I bought from the supermarket or from the big box store? When I don't sift the soil, how did I get a thing there? I don't sift the soil for my soil, my soil outside. When I plant it in the garden, I don't sift that soil. So when you direct sow, you don't sift any soil. You just put it in the ground, and the seedling has to be stronger and strong enough to fight its way through. And the seed has to be strong enough to fight its way through. So, and these are seedlings, which are a lot stronger than a little itty bitty seed. So I make sure I buy something that a soil that, hopefully is healthy. And I just plant my stuff. No sifting. I don't sift, but I'm not saying you shouldn't. There we are. We have another one here. And another thing that there are people who plant in peat moss and 2 parts peat moss, 1 part perlite or cocoa coir. I don't do that either. I plant in soil. I want the seeds to be adapted to being in some sort of soil or dirt with nutrients. Peat moss and perlite and cocoa coir, I don't believe they have any nutrients. You have to put nutrients in there. Now, the only way I can understand you doing that is if you're shipping, a plant to another location, then yeah, I would use cocoa coir or I'd use peat moss and perlite, because that doesn't have the bacteria that the soil does. Other than that, nope. They all go into Texas native soils because I am in Texas. And that's what it's going into later on, Texas soil, Texas native soil. So here we are, I'm pulling this one out. And I told you we are gonna lose some root, but there's really nothing you can do about it. Just try to minimize the amount of root that you lose. And there we are. They're standing tall. They are standing tall. I'm gonna water them directly after this. You'll see me do that and we'll be good to go. Wow, I almost filled the entire tray. That little cup. I have 2 more plants left. Here we are, right? I think I got 2 pepper plants in there I could put in those slots. So I'm gonna pull these apart. Well, I'm gonna tickle this a little bit. Loosen up some of the soil around it. And then I'm pulling it apart. And here we are, down to our last 2. Move this over. Slide that away. Put my seedling in there and cover it, backfill it. I call it backfilling, like it's a construction site, but fill it back up. Try to get all the dead stuff off of there, put it back in this cup. I don't leave it on the soil, it attracts bugs. So any debris from what used to be on the seedling, I take that off. So we're down to our last one. Our last tomato plant, cherry tomato plant. I'm gonna put that in there and make sure I cover up all the roots. All the roots that I see, make sure I cover them. Roots are the veins of the plant. So I have all of the tomatoes planted. So we have, well, let's water it first and then we'll count. My tool of choice for watering, especially seeds in these containers or many of the containers so they don't move around, is a mustard bottle. That's because I can isolate the water to where I want it to go without disturbing the plant too much. And I just go from one to another, watering them in until I feel like they got enough water. Now, another thing that's gonna happen when you water is you're gonna notice that the soil is gonna sink down. And I'm not too worried about that as long as the roots are covered, which is another reason why I use a mustard bottle. As long as the roots are covered, I don't really mind. And I got water dribbling all over the place. It's all right. My plants are going to be happier in this spot. There's not enough soil in that one to hold this one up, so I'm putting some more soil in there. Stabilize it. Put some more water. Another thing with, so if you start your seedlings outside, they're stronger. They're stronger because the wind blows. See how they're moving? You see that? That makes the plant stronger, believe it or not. It's like a person who is exposed to the sunlight, they get more adapted, or a person who has been outside, they get used to the environment outside, and because they're exposed to more harsher temperatures and harsher weather conditions, they adapt to it and their body becomes stronger for that environment. So tomatoes and all plants are the same way, as long if they're moving. And it's another thing, when you have it inside, just go ahead and make them move every now and then, because there's no wind in your house. So blow on them or just shake them around. Shake, Jamaica. Shake them around. I'll get my mustard bottle in a minute. Shake them, move them, make them move a little bit. That makes the plant stronger. So we're done. I don't put any fertilizer on it because this is fresh soil. I didn't reuse this soil. I got this from the bag. So this soil should have nutrients in it. I'm having faith in the in the man. I'm having faith in my fellow man that they gave me some soil that is full of organic material that is going to feed the plants, because that's what soil is, broken down organic material, hopefully. So I thank you guys for being with me. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. This is the planting of my cherry tomatoes from the little itty bitty cup into here. Oh, I told you I was going to tell you how many there was. So 4, 8, 16, 18. I'm doing it by threes. You know my math is off. I'm a gardener, not a mathematician. Jeez, I know somebody's baby is like, Mommy, that girl can't do simple multiplication. I thank you guys for being with me, and I will see you on the next one, all right? Take care. Bye. La 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 la, dooby dooby doo.